Now, regarding making the case for why freedom works better than statism, every year, the Fraser Institute publishes something called Economic Freedom of the World. And actually, you also have the Heritage Foundation's Index of Economic Freedom, and even the World Economic Forum's Global Competitiveness Report. They all basically do the same thing. They rate countries and rank countries on the basis of, do they have decent rule of law? Do they have modest regulatory burdens, stable money, open trade, decent tax systems and fiscal systems? And by the way, when you're saying decent, we're not talking about anything that the three of us would like in terms of radically smaller government. We're talking simply about what type of system at least gives the private sector some breathing room, some money that is left untouched and unmolested by the politicians, so people can work, save, invest, create, be entrepreneurs. And what you find in these rankings, like the Fraser Institute's Economic Freedom of the World, is that the countries that have the most economic liberty grow the fastest, have the highest per capita income, the longest life expectancies, the lowest levels of child mortality. Pretty much every indicator that you could possibly want, you will find that the more market-oriented a country is, the more individual economic liberty that exists in that country, you'll get more growth and more prosperity. And I specifically, when I'm talking especially to my friends on the left, I ask them, give me an example at any point in world history of a country that became rich by adopting big government, by adopting statist policies. And they can't. Now, most of them will say, oh, well, what about Sweden? And I'll point out, well, yes, Sweden by world standards is a rich country, but guess what? They became rich in the 1800s and early 1900s when government was very, very small. And this actually ties into the other part of the question that I got about the chart with GDP and when countries became rich. If you go back to the 1800s and you look at the countries of North America and Western Europe, the first parts of the world that actually escaped poverty, what do you find? Those countries became rich when there were no income taxes, no welfare state. The burden of government was tiny compared to where it is right now. The average burden of government spending in these countries in the 1800s, and even all the way up to the eve of World War I, was only about 10 percentage points of GDP, which, by the way, is half of what it is in Hong Kong and Singapore today. And those are considered the smallest government countries in the world. So the world economic history, the evidence is very, very clear that if you want rapid growth, you're never going to get it with statism. You're never going to get it with big government, with welfare states, with onerous income tax systems and things like that. If we want more prosperity, or let me put it this way. It's not like there's a light switch on, off, on, off. It's a continuum, a spectrum. If you want more growth, you want to bring government down. Now, if you want less growth, now why you would want that, I don't know. But if you want less growth, go ahead and let government be bigger. And obviously, you can sort of pick in the middle and have a modest level of growth with a modest level of government. But again, presumably the best thing for people, the best thing for families, the best thing for the future is to have rapid growth, and that means having the smallest possible government. And the data shows that unambiguously.